don't need anything. You should be talking across the room. Okay, we are starting lesson 1.4 today. I'm going to hand out your notes, even though we're going to be in our workbook first. To be honest with you, we will not cover everything that's on the notes, because some of the stuff on there is if we wanted to go a little bit extra practice. This lesson is something that I know you cover in 4th grade. I know you cover in 5th grade. To be honest, the only thing different that we are doing today is we are showing you one other method to solve it. Alright, so what I'm going to share with you today, we are lesson 1.4, finding greatest common factor. Our I can statement, our goal states, I will find the greatest common factor of two numbers. What that means, remember I always show you what this is going to look like. So if I ask you to find the greatest common factor between 12 and 18, today what you are going to be doing is telling me like the factors of 12, the factors of 18, what my common factors are, and then finally my answer. As of right now, I don't expect you to know all that. It should be kind of review. Some of you should be looking at it and be like, oh yeah. I'm just showing you what it's going to look like. That is what the goal means. Our goal is saying, I can find the greatest common factor of two numbers means I can do what I just showed you. And I did it really fast, so we'll go slow today. Okay, the way we're going to meet our goal today, there's 3 things we have to do. The first one, we have to be able to explain the meaning of the term factors, which should be very easy because we've been talking about factors for the first 3 lessons and the review we did. The second one says, I will use list of factors to identify the greatest common factor of numbers. If I was you, I'd highlight this part or underline it. List of factors. This is method 1. Yes?
We've got 1-3. Oh, so did we.
What?
Yeah, we got 1.
And then that's
1-4.
Huh. You got 1-3?
Yeah, factorization.
Yeah. We already did this. We got 4.
Yeah,
We don't have that.
Huh. It must have just got mixed in.
Oh, and I got 5. Wait, did you have that last week?
No, that's 1-4. Oh, you had 5. Okay. Anyone else missing? Sorry about that. I must have part of the wrong sentence. That's an extra. You have 1-3. It's always a nice failure. Alright, everyone else has 1-4 then? I thought that was weird. I had a whole bunch of extra 4s. I must accidentally stuck my extra 1-3s in with them. Alright, so method 1. What I can tell you about is today you're going to have to show me 2 ways to find the greatest common factor. One is going to be by listing the factors. Straight up, that's my favorite method. That is the one I use every time. I'm not saying it's the easiest, but if you think in your head right now, you don't have to tell everyone else. It's not their business. But how good are you with multiplication division? When we did our infinity ball and we threw around and did factor ball, how good are you identifying all the factors of a number? If you're really good at that, method 1 is probably your go-to. It's probably going to be the easiest and the fastest. If I'm not very good with that, I can still use method 1, I have to have a little perseverance. I have to work, and you'll probably use a calculator as a learning tool to help you. If I'm still not comfortable with that one, it's hard for me to identify all the factors, which is going to be key. Then I will go to this second one. If I knew where I put my pen, that'd be fantastic. Okay. So, the second method here, our second criteria for today is I can use prime factors to identify the greatest common factor. This is method 2. This one, a lot of students love the first part of it. They feel it is very, very simple. It's just step number 4 that they have troubles with, that they forget something. So if you pay close attention, follow along on step 4 on this, you should have no problems. Yes, sir?
Where is that?
You don't have it on your notes. This is just our overview. Alright. Greatest common factors. I need you to open up your workbook to 1.4. I'm going to only do one example of this with you. My reasoning is, I think the Venn diagram does a good job visually showing you this information, but for you to create it is more work than it's worth. Okay? So, I'm going to start reading on this while you're turning. It says, a Venn diagram uses circles to describe relationships between 2 or more sets. The Venn diagram shows the factors of 12 and 15. Numbers that are factors of both 12 and 15 are represented in the overlap of the 2 circles. Mainly, we use Venn diagrams a lot in reading and writing to compare information, to compare and contrast, and that's what they're doing here. I'm going to try zooming in. When I have the factors of 12, if I made this a blue circle, anything that's inside the blue means it is a factor of 12. So the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 12, if we did factor both, those are all the factors you would have to read. If I said the red circle represents factors of 15, you would see 1, 3, 5, and 15 are factors of 15. What is nice is the numbers 1 and 3 are both in the blue circle and the red circle. So if you want to write this in your notebook, you might. That means our common factors are 1 and 3. Now let's identify this real quick. Who remembers what factors are? This is one of our criteria that we have to get. What are factors?
2 numbers multiplied to get a whole.
2 numbers that are multiplied to give us a specific whole number. Okay? So, factors, what's the word common mean?
It means that it's like
Kind of lose your track of thought?
yeah.
That's okay. Huh? It just means same. So, mainly, I want to know what are the same numbers that are used to find 12 and 15. Well, I use 1 and I use 3. Is 2 a common factor?
No.
2 is a factor of 12. It's not a factor of 15. Is 15 a common factor? No, it's a 15, but not a 12. So our common factors are 1 and 3. The last term that you guys will be doing, oh, and over here, I'm going to put in parentheses, or little quotations. We are going to refer to this as common factor. Common factors we're going to refer to as CF. I like to abbreviate while we're doing math. Just common factors. The last thing that you have to do, and this is what you have to put on your homework answer, is they're asking me for the greatest common factor. Well, the greatest common factor is just GCF. That's what we refer to it. Well, if my common factors are 1 and 3, and I want to know which one's the greatest, it means which one is worth the most. Which one's the largest number? Everett?
3.
3. So I kind of shared this story when we're looking at greatest common factors. One thing I would think of is Peanut, my little Jude, a 5-year-old. He always loves candy. He always wants more and more candy. One funny thing I said this last week, my wife was trying to work with him saying, hey, about strangers, stranger danger. She goes, Jude, what would you do if a stranger came up and goes, hi, little boy, hey, I have a bag of candy. Do you want some? He goes, I can have 1 piece. And I was like, no, dude, that's a fail. You don't take candy from a stranger. He's like, I get 1 piece. Jude loves candy. If I say, Jude, you can have 1 piece of candy or 3 pieces of candy, he's going to be like, I take 3 pieces of candy. Okay?
I take 4.
I'm like, have you ate your supper? No, but I take 3 pieces of candy. He always takes the money. Man, that and bag of chips. I swear to God, that's his food groups. Candy and chips. So,
Can I say something?
what?
Okay, so in this generation, it's not candy anymore.
It's
It's
Wi-Fi.
Wi-Fi. I got free
I got free
Wi-Fi.
Wi-Fi.
Oh,
I got
well,
free
I
Wi-Fi.
was like, Wi-Fi? You calling Kingy Wi-Fi? I see what you're saying. Okay, so here's what we are going to do. This is going to be our active. We are only doing one example in this workbook because of what it looks like with Venn diagram. So on A, they want us to identify the greatest common factor between the numbers 36 and 48. Real quick, one reason we want to find greatest common factor, one time it helps us if I have to identify like what's the biggest number of groups I can make. Like I do that in classes all the time. If I have it and she has it, we want to have the same number of groups. We might try and figure that out for parties. I know when we did our wedding, we wanted the least amount of tables and we were looking at things, so you had to find out what the greatest common factor would be between 2 different sets. You use it for a lot of planning stuff. In math, we will also use it a lot. If you get good at this, in fractions. If you can identify greatest common factor, when you simplify a fraction, it becomes very, very easy. Okay, here's what I want you to do. Real quick, let's draw 2 circles. First circle, I'm going to write 36 on the outside. Second circle, 48. Here's what I'm going to have you do. I want us to get up and move today instead of work with our table group. So, when I say to begin, I want you to move around the room, and you got to go up to a partner, and you have to find a factor of either 36 or 48. If it's a factor, if I go up and I tell Patrick 89, that's not one of the answers. I'd say, hey, 89 is a factor of 36. He's going to write it in there. If I said, Patrick, 157, it's a factor of both 36 and 48. He would put it in there, and then he's going to tell me one. Okay? I'm going to give you some time, and I'll see who can get the most. Probably give out some lead spots. Ready. Begin. Alright, so let's do a factor pair. That's how you earn the lead spot. Yes.
A factor pair for 36 is 6 and 6.
Okay, do they go in just 36, or do they go in both 36 and 48?
They go in both.
They go in both. 6 will go in the middle. 6 is a factor of 36 because it's 6 times 6. Sorry, you have to write the 6 once. And it's also one of 48. The next factor pair could be 6 times what gives me 48. Everett?
12 times 3 equals 36.
Okay.
And
Does the 12 go into both or just one?
both.
12 goes into both.
12 times
And does 3 go into one or both?
both.
Give me a factor pair that's on both. Common factor. Callan.
1 times 48.
Okay, does 1 go into both or just 48?
Both.
Both? Does 48 go in 48 or both?
48.
Yeah. Marley.
2
Did you give it? I'll come back to you in just a second. Okay, good. Okay, does 24 go into 36, both, or 48? Just 48. And 2 goes into both of them. Good. Everett, maybe get the second one.
12.
Okay. 12 is already listed.
And 4 go into both.
Ooh, good. I had to say 48. I almost made a mistake. You could have got a link from me. Mason.
1 is already there, and
Okay.
36 goes into 36.
Maddox. Where's 9 go?
I think it's a common factor. Huh?
9 times 5 is 45. 9 times 6 is 54. So it doesn't go into 48. However, it does go with 36, but what's its factor pair? 9 times 4. Good. 4 is already listed. Sarah?
16 times 3 equals 48, but 3 can go into 36 also.
So 3 is already listed. Where's 16 go? Does it go in 36 or just 48?
No, I'm just kidding. And
Only in
oh,
48.
16, I was talking about 3. Yeah, I knew.
Mason?
2 is already in the middle column, and then 2 times 18 equals 36.
Good. That's your second one, isn't it? I don't want to forget that. 2 times 18. 18 only goes into 36. Ethan?
6 times 8 goes into 48.
So where's the 8 go?
Into the 48.
Good. 8 only goes into 48. And I think that's all. Did I miss one?
That is 2. No, it's 2. Oh, you got it.
Okay, so this should be all of them. Now, what is my common factor?
Greatest?
Nope. What are my common factors? This will also be for links spot.
Everyone.
Alex, what would be my common factor?
Or the most?
Mhm.
12. Oh.
Talon?
1.
Graylee? Remember, go back to what we just said up here. Common means the same factor, the numbers that are being multiplied. Those are my common factors. Peter?
6.
Nope.
Oh.
Ethan?
4.
Nope. Marley? Everett?
1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 12.
Oh, I knew that. One at a time. I didn't know you did that.
No, I need to know what my common factors are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 12 are common factors because they are shared with both of them. Now, who was that? Everett that got it?
Yeah.
It was me.
Well, remember, if you steal one, if you try to take credit for someone's, I end up costing you. Alright, so GCF. Now, of my common factors, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 12, what is my greatest common factor? 12. Very good. Great comment, Peter. So when we thought 24 at first, Peter made the comment right away, but 24 isn't a common factor. Perfect. Right on point. Alright, close your workbook and put your notes in front of you.
We're gonna message this time. Make sure
It just takes.
you. Can I eat a piece of cake that I got?
Nope. Alright, so putting your heading on your notes so if you leave yours behind, we know who to give it to. But you should have your name. Today's class period, we are 4S. And the date is 9-9. It's my dad's birthday.
It's my dad's birthday.
It's my birthday.
Oh, I guess I'll wait for our little side conversations as long as you're okay not having much math work time. Alright, the first thing we want to define are common factors. Well, we already kind of did this, right? We said factors are the same numbers. And we can change, I'm going to change our definition a little that I did with the other ones. Let's say common factors, same numbers used as factors for two numbers. So mainly when I give you 12 and 18, what factors are the same? What are the factors of 12 that are the same factors of the number 18? Greatest common factor is the largest common factor. The largest factor shared between two numbers. Okay. Your notes today should take you not very long if you're focusing and participating and staying with me. And you'll actually have quite a bit of work today. That's our number one goal. Okay? We are only going to do 2 examples. I told you, Jerry, I need to put your reading book away. So I told you that there's a lot of extra stuff in our notes. We're not going to do all of them unless I feel we need to. But for the most part, we'll kind of skip over some of them, since this should be review, and we should know this stuff. So, the very first thing, it says example 1, finding the greatest common factor using a list of factors. You might underline that or highlight it. Method 1, on your homework tonight, you do have to show me this method.
Okay.
It will say list of factors. Now, if you look right here in our notes, this is where we're going to do it. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 lines that I will use. Today's homework is the first homework that I am fully checking your work. Where your paper's turned in, if you don't turn in the paper, you do not get full credit for your grade. Every question that you list the factors for will take 4 lines. Sounds like a lot, but it's actually fairly easy. Okay, here's how we do this. On the first line, since I am comparing the number 24 and 40, I'm trying to find the greatest common factors of these two numbers. I start on line 1 and I write factors of 24 and I'm going to list them all, just like we play Factorable. I would say 1 times 24, and I'm using my number line to help me identify all my factors. After 1 comes 2. 2 goes into 24 12 times. 3 goes into it 8 times. 4, 6. 5 does not go into 24. After 5 comes the number 6, but I already have it, so those are all my factors of 24. Now, being honest, did that look hard for me?
No.
No, because I know my multiplication and division. I'm able to do my factors. Some of you sitting here could do that just as well as I just did. So this is going to be simple. On the second one, for factors of 40, I'm going to show how you can use your calculator in case you are struggling. The first thing you would do is, you won't need a calculator. You should be able to say 1 times 40. Okay, now, all this takes, you cannot give me an excuse, Mr. Sissel, I'm not good at this because I don't know my math facts. I'm letting you use a calculator to help you. You just have to show me you have the effort. So what you do is you say my number is 40 divided by after 1 comes 2 equals, it went in even. It went in 20 times. So that's a factor. 2 times 20. I go back to my calculator. 40 divided by after 2 comes 3. Who did it go in evenly? We get a decimal. 3 is not a factor of 40. 40, I'm going to check what number now? 4. 10 times. So 4, 10. I hope you're putting this on your notes. Remember, when you turn your notes in at the end of the chapter, I'm giving you a grade whether you did notes or not. After 4 comes 5. Is 5 a factor?
Yes.
Yeah. Its factor pair is 8. So 5 and 8. After 5, I'm going to check which number. 6. Is 6 a factor?
No.
After 6, I'm going to check.
No.
And technically, I could stop here. Because 5 point whatever is less than 7. If the second factor pair is less than the first one that we're checking, we're done. If you don't understand that, I can just do this. 40 after 7 comes
8.
But we've already done 8, right? So that means I'm done. The factors of 40 are 1, 2, 4, 5, 8, 10, 20, 40. So let's be very honest with each other. Even if I don't know my math facts, was that difficult to do?
No.
No, but do you know what it is? 1, boring. 2, time consuming. 3, I have to have perseverance. I have to be willing to do it. So the only reason that today you could tell me that I cannot find all the factors of a number is I'm being lazy. That's the only excuse you can have. Okay? Here's step 3. That's step 1. Step 2. Step 3, we have to identify our common factors. Let's throw a Lynx buck out for this one. And then I'm going to have to pause when you guys go to work so I can give them all out. Who can tell me what number, I'll give a Lynx buck for, you can give me one number until all of them are chosen. What number can I circle that's in both blue and orange? That's both a factor of 24 and 40. Patrick, what's one of them?
2.
Okay. I'm going to circle that. 2's in both of them. Alex? 4 is in both of them. Chris?
8.
8 is in both of them. Grayling? 1 is in both of them. Talon?
Oh, number 1.
There's no more. Here's how I would have done this. I would start with whichever one has least amount of factors and just go, okay, 1. Is it in the bottom? Yes. 2. Yes. 3. No. 4. Yes. 6. No. 8. Yes. 12. No. 24. No. I'm done. Now I'm going to list them. Huh? But is a 5 a factor of 24? So I don't even have to check this. I'm just checking up here. Is there a partner down below? The common factors, I'm going to write it out. This would be on line 3 of your paper. Now comes the easiest part. What is the greatest common factor? My common factors are 1, 2, 4, and 8. So what is the greatest one? Jude, you want 1, 2, 4, or 8 pieces of candy? Anastasia? The answer is 8. This is the 4 lines you should take on your paper. 1, say factors of 24 and list them. Second line, factors of 40, list them. Third line, write CF, list them. 5. Fourth line, GCF. What is your answer? Okay, I'm going to have you do this one. So, first thing, find the greatest common factor of the number using list of factors. This is exactly what you can do in your homework today. Just like this. There's your 4 lines. I'm going to pause the video. Please complete this either on your own, or if you're confused, get a little help from a neighbor or from me. I'm going to come around. Alright, so let's see if we can list the factors of 8 for our links book. Talon, what are the factors of 8?
1.
And
2. 4. What? And that's all. No, that's all.
what's the factor pairs? I know 2 goes to 4. 2 times 4 is 8. 1 times...
36.
What?
No, I mean, 8 is 1.
Okay, there we go. Now, that is actually one of the common errors I was even seeing last class. When people wrote 8 down and are going to list the factors, they automatically forget about the number itself. Be careful on that because sometimes that number is the greatest common factor. Okay, so Talon has that one. How about for the number 36? Sarah?
1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 9, 12, 18, 36.
Bunch of them, good. 1 times 36. 2 to 18. 3 to 12. 4 to 9. 5 is a no. 6 to 6. Since it looped to itself, we're done. Okay, and the next question is, okay, out of all these, what are my common factors? Anastasia?
1, 2, 4.
1 is listed twice. 2 is listed twice. And 4. So 1, 2, 4. Hardest question. Between the numbers 1, 2, and 4, what is the biggest number? What is my greatest common factor? Bethany?
4.
My answer is 4. 4 is my greatest common factor. This is method 1. What I'd like you to do is look at my picture. I messed up on the other ones, but give me a thumbs up, sideways thumb, or downwards thumb for you. You don't have to show me, circle it on your paper and I'll get it. But where do you feel with example 1? Do you totally get it? Kind of confused, or I have no idea? Circle it in your notes. This is one thing that I'm going to be, or color in the thumb, I don't care. But this is what I need to be seeing, so I know who to be helping a little bit more. Yes, Maddox?
Are we going to get to have time?
We have one more example, and then you should have about 15 to 20 minutes to work in here. Typically, we won't always get that much, but we are.
Oh.
Alright. Second example. This is the second method we're going to do. Example 2 says, finding the greatest common factor using prime factorization. This is the second method. Once again, full disclosure, most students like this one the best. The reasoning is, you do not have to know every factor of each number, which is usually helpful. But remember, I said there's the 4th step. This one also has 4 steps. And the 4th step is the one that sometimes we mess up on. So you have to pay really close attention. Alright, I'm going to color code my steps so you can see my work. But step 1, make a factor tree for each number. Well, we're doing the number 12 and 56. So on your notes, do this with me. I'm going to write 12. To the right, I'm going to write number 56. and I'm making a factor tree. Okay, I'm going to break 12 up. Leon, what is a pair of factors that will give me 12? What's a factor pair that gives me 12? What's two things I can multiply together, Leon? Cool. 2 times 6. This is the greatest part. Is that the only factor pair you could have used? No. So right now I'm going to show what my tree looks like. If you did yours different, that's okay. We'll get the same prime factors. 2 is prime, so I put a circle. 6 is composite. So I'm going to break 6 into what, Mason?
6 into 2.
2 times 3. 2 is prime. 3 is prime. I'm done. There's my factor tree. I have to go to the number 56. 56, I know my factors are 7 times 8. 7 is prime. 8 becomes 2 times 4. 2 is prime. 4 becomes 2 times 2. Yes, sir.
I actually can think of that in a different way. 2 times 28, and then it comes down to 2 times 2 times 2 times 7.
Which is what we get. Yep. So you can use different factor pairs all the way down till we get the prime numbers. That's step 1. Everyone should have it down on their notes. Step 2. Write the prime factorization of each number. So mainly I'm going to take the prime numbers and write them as multiplication. 2 times 2 times 3. That is 12. For 56, I'm going to just go underneath it. They don't have to be lined up. It's just easier if you do. 2 times 2 times 2 times 7. And once again, they don't even have to be in number order. But it's a lot easier if it is. That was step 2. Is that one hard? Okay. Step 3 is just a touch different. Find the common prime factors. You remember how before we were finding the common factors? Well, now we're going to say common prime. This one's different because all these are prime numbers. So I'm going to put CPF. Now, pay close attention. This is where we start making a mistake. If I look, what is one pair of prime numbers that's in, or what's one prime number that's listed in both? Sarah?
2.
Okay, do this. I'm going to circle. There's a 2 on the top one and a 2 on the bottom one. So that is one of the common prime numbers. Do I have any other prime numbers that can match? Marley? There's another set of 2. Now this is different than example 1. Because in example 1 we would have said, oh, I already identified 2. Well, no, in this one, all these numbers are prime. So if they have a partner, I list it. I have a set of 2, which I put here. And I have a second set. So I'm going to write 2 times 2. This set of 2, this set of 2. Does the 3 have a partner?
No.
Does this 2 have a partner? No. Does this 7 have a partner? No. So I'm done. Step 4. Multiply the common prime factors, and that gives me my greatest common factor. G, C, F is, what is 2 times 2?
4.
My greatest common factor would have been 4.
Wow.
So, if I would have done a list, I just want to show you how this makes sense. If I would have done a list, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 12. 1, 2, 3, doesn't, 4 doesn't, oh wait, 4 does, 16, 5 doesn't, 6 doesn't, 7, 8, 15, 28, 56. All right. If I would have done a list like on step 1 or example 1, my common factors were 1, 2, and 4. Which means my greatest common factor was 4. So, I got both the exact same answers. I showed it with prime factorization, and I showed it with making a list. The biggest thing to remember with prime factorization is step 4. You must multiply the prime factors. 2 was common in this, another set of 2. I'm going to have you...
I need Patrick Bennett, the office police.
Okay.
Thank you.
So we're going to go ahead and make this. I'm going to have you guys try this for me. So step 1, what color am I doing it in? Green. Go ahead in your notes. And Patrick, you already have your homework, right? Okay. This is on the back side, guys. What? You just keep doing that. Okay, I need you. I'm going to try to fix my board right now. I need you to do this first try. I need you to find the greatest common factor between 20 and 45 using prime factorization. Alright, number 20. Who can make a factor tree of this?
Me?
Alright, so guys, show me what you can do.
Oh, so first I did. I think he was I did. No, he wants you to do that.
Oh, yes! Oh!
Bring your paper with you so you can copy it over.
Yeah.
Okay, only touch the board with this. Just write it like it's a big piece of paper up there.
She's like, what the heck?
Make sure you show me you know how to do this so I can choose you again next time. Huh? Okay, so she's going to make a factor pair. Her first pair is 2 times 10. Raise your hand if you did a different factor pair. Keep going, Sky. Raise your hand if you did a different factor pair. What'd you do? She did, Anastasia did 4 times 5. 4 times 5? Cool. We'll still get the same answer. Alright. The only thing I would ask you to do, Scott, on your work. Yeah. Alright. Scott will get 1. Who can do the factor tree for 45? Anastasia. Scared her through the pinners.
My old teacher didn't throw pens at me.
Alright, so she's doing 4 times... Wait a minute, 4 times 9?
No.
You got it wrong.
5. Why?
Five.
5. Hold on.
Oh my goodness.
Is that
Okay.
no joke?
Alright, hold on.
There goes that.
No joke.
There we go. Try it again. Alright, 5 times 9 is 9 prime. Alright, let me do this. Alright, go ahead. Is 5 prime or composite? So circle 5. Is 9 prime or composite? What factor pair can I make that goes into 9? 1 doesn't, or 1 times 9, but that doesn't count. Does 2 go into 9? Shh, Sky.
I'm sorry.
That's just giving out answers.
Yes, there's one. I don't remember. I'm tired.
3 times 3. And then those are prime. Alright. Good job. Now, step 2. We do in blue. What is the prime factorization of 20? Draylee?
5.
What? 5, 2, and 2. Remember, I like to write them out in numerical order and make sure you write the time thing in between. What's the prime factorization of 45? Ethan?
5,
3 times 3 times 5. Okay. Orange. I gotta go look at my notes. Alright, in orange. What is my CPF, my common prime factors? What are my common prime factors? Chris, haven't heard from you too much. What do you think is the common prime factor? Let me help you. Let's look right here. Here's my prime factors. 2 times 2 times 5. 3 times 3 times 5. Now, if I do this 2, is there another 2 that matches up with it below? Okay, there's this 2. Does it have any common factors? Okay, there's the 5. Does it have any? Okay, so we circle the 5s, which means I have a 5. Here's the step that we usually miss. What is my greatest common factor? As silly as it sounds, this is the one that we tend to mess up on. Remember, greatest common factor, you multiply whatever common prime factors you wrote down. Marley, what would be my greatest common factor? What?
5. It's the only.
Good. The mistake people make is sometimes they say 5 times 5 is 25. Did anyone? You did? Who did that?
Not me.
So, it actually happens sometimes, but remember, the difference is it's not 5 times 5, it's 5 was the pair that we wrote down. So, last one we're going to do together real quick. Just do it over here. Cross off number 6, because I want you to have one other example. 12 and 18. Please do this with me. We'll go halfway quick on it. The first step, I'm doing the right color so it stays coordinated. The first step is my factor tree. 12, I can make 2 times 6, and I make 6 2 times 3. I'm done with that factor tree. For 18, 2 times 9, and 3 times 3. I am done there as well. I've made our factor tree. Huh?
Can we try number 6?
You could. Would there be anything different? So Ethan just asked real quick, we cross number 6 off for the 3 numbers. You would do the same thing. You'd have 3 factor trees, and then you'd have to have that number go across all 3 of them. Okay. I have to write out my prime factorization. So for 12, it's 2 times 2 times 3. For 18, it's 2 times 3 times 3. I have to identify what's the common prime factors. So I'm going to ask you guys on this one. This is the part where we get tripped up on. What would I circle? What are my prime factors that are partnered up? Bethy?
2.
Okay, there's a set of 2s. So CPF 2. And there's a set of 3s. I'm going to go on an angle so you don't think you have to have them on top of each other. And there's 3s. So 2 times the 3. This 2 doesn't have a second partner and that 3 doesn't. So the final question is, what is my greatest common factor? Sarah?
6.
Good. With prime factorization, we must multiply. We don't say 3. When we list, example 1, where we listed all the factors, you look at the common factors, and you pick the biggest number. When you do prime factorization, and you have your common factors, you multiply. Okay? Okay. Before you start your homework, I'm going to hand out your paper. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. You need to put your sweatshirt down, buddy. Alright. Ooh, if you guys want me to turn you loose, I need you to give me your attention just for a little bit longer. We're almost done. Okay. Remember, on your paper, this is your first lesson that you definitely have to turn it in. Without the paper, you cannot get a 3 on your homework. I have got to see for me to give credit for your assignment. 1, you always have to show work. 2, you have to have your heading. If you don't have it, I don't accept it as a correct homework paper. So, on the first thing, your name, right here on this line. Your name goes anywhere else, I do not count it as you did your homework correct. Second line, we put the date. Third line is so important because I've had a lot of papers turned in and people are turning in late work. Third line, you have to tell me the lesson. C1L4. These all go right here in this top right corner. If you're writing out of the places, I am not counting it. There's a good chance I just recycle and say you never turned it in. The fourth line, we are fourth silver.
I put yes for rock silver.
No, 4S.
Why does it have to be in a certain order?
Because it's easy for me to look through them and then I don't have to try to figure out what everything is. Okay, last thing. On your homework, the first 2 questions ask you, use a Venn diagram to find the greatest common factor. On number 1, 2. You do not have to use a Venn diagram. You can do any method you choose. You have to show it on your paper.
What?
Number 3. Oh, I'll fix it. It just, my cable just got loose. Number 3 and 4 says, find the greatest common factor using list of factors. That's the one. You're going to show 4 lines. All right, line 1, 12, list all the factors. Line 2, number 48, list all the factors. Line 3, common factors, list them. Line 4, what's my greatest common factor? See example 1. On 5, 6, 7, 8 says use prime factorization. That's what we just did. So example 2. Number 9 and 10, you may use any method you choose.
Wait, so where it says use a Venn diagram, we have to?
No, you use anything you want.
Just where it says list, we have to.
When it says list them, you must list them. When it says prime factorization, you must use prime factorization.
Which one's prime factorization?
Example 2, what we just did. Alright, the rest of the class is your work time.